And that's what you need a bag of lotion for. What's going on, everybody? This is the Coverbandconfidential podcast, the podcast for cover band musicians and band leaders to learn how to rock more and suck less. Heavily moisturized in Atlanta, Georgia, I am Adam Johnson.
Somewhat desiccated in Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
Dude, desiccation is like my existence. We just sprung forward. It's warming up, whatever. But I think like just being in a house with like gas heating and just being an ashy white person is it's just gotten to me.
Yeah, sitting here with AC blowing across me and the heat has been an experience that has been a thing. Also, today I heard someone refer to mayonnaise as sandwich lotion, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
Not good. I'm not a fan of that terminology at all.
No.
I'm also not a fan of like we are in the American South.
Yes.
And our weather does not know what to do.
No, it's the typical thing. It's winter in the morning and summer in the afternoon. You know, it's normal March for here.
Yeah, it's, you get comfortable with something like, this is a long sleeve t-shirt. I had put these away and had to pull them back out.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's just one of those
things.
things.
There is definitely a period of the year, too, really, where you just need all of your clothes.
Yes, and we're in it at the moment.
Yep.
There was some talk about there being like some weird front coming through on Saturday. Our Glenn Burns, who's like our patron saint of meteorology in the metro Atlanta area, is like, you should just go ahead and sleep in the basement on Saturday. You probably should do that. I was like,
wow,
that's literally what he said. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah. That's
what have you been up to, man?
I've been doing this. Here I am, and this is what I've been doing. Heading toward, on Thursday, the day that this will drop, the morning of this dropping, I will have been to the foot doc and will have gotten clearance to put some weight on it. I don't quite know what that's going to look like, but some weight. So, maybe that'll mean that I'm tottering off to the bathroom on my feet instead of on the scooter. But it's the path toward normal walking. And then I have physical therapy on following Monday, the first of that. We'll make a plan there for what that's all going to look like. And all looking quite positive.
Sweet. A lot of things will change. Your digs will change. We won't necessarily be in the haunted mansion anymore.
Right. I'll be returned to my desk.
And, you had kind of been talking about when to start reaching out to potentially, stage your comeback tour. Have you taken any further consideration or?
Here's what I learned yesterday, Sunday. I joined the weekly grocery shop trip.
Yep.
And I found that I don't have the physical stamina for a complete grocery shop trip. We did the thing where we got all the way through every aisle and had a grocery cart full and got through the dairy, which is the last aisle, and then realized that we needed something from back at produce at the other end of the store. And at that point, I realized, I'm sweating and a little bit just feeling shaky, and I'm just going to go be in the car. I'll catch you. Just sitting here, recovering from surgery, but then also doing essentially nothing for 6 weeks, my whole stamina, my whole energy is just low. And so building that up will be part of the mission in PT, but I don't really know how long that'll take. If I think back to a surgery I had in 2012, then at about the same amount of recovery time, it was a good 3, 4, 5 weeks before I really felt like I was back kind of in shape. So I did get reached out to, hey, Dan, can you fill in? Can you, know it's last minute. Can you do an acoustic show Sunday? Yeah, so that was no, I can't. But I think I'll probably start talking about dates with people in the next week or two. But I'll have to schedule them softly because I don't quite know when I'll be fully, up to it.
Yeah, I'm not in the same boat by any stretch, but we did our second gig of the year on Saturday.
Yeah.
And between load in and doing the gig and then loading out and unpacking the car, Sunday was just go ahead and cut an hour off of my sleep just to, cut me off to the knees to
just
boot.
For fun.
But listen, Sunday was a day of rest and then some.
Gotcha.
I was absolutely wiped. Amber was also wiped. And we'll get into the gig recap in just a little bit, but it's real. You do have to build that up, even if you're not like a fully sedentary situation like you're in.
Yeah.
Getting everything back up to operational capacity. It does. It takes time, and every spring it gets a little bit harder,
Yeah. Yes, it does.
But we're getting into it. We're we got some dates that are being confirmed. I'm also getting a lot of inquiries that are drying up all of a sudden. I think I don't have a crystal ball, but it seems like all of this talk about things getting more expensive has scared some folks. And we had 2 prospective dates in March, actually 3, and all of them have dried up.
Wow.
They've literally just come back and be like, nope, we're not doing this anymore.
It'd be interesting to track date dropout compared with consumer confidence.
I think that's part and parcel.
I think it has to be.
Because we are extra.
Right.
Like, we are the definition of extra.
Yeah,
Entertainment is extra.
Put music on your phone.
Yeah.
And it's almost as good as us.
Almost.
Yeah, well. Depends on the band, I guess. But
yeah, the problem is that in my world, having margin means working, and if the opportunities to work dry up, then my opportunities to make margin also dry up. So
right.
It's a bit of a conundrum. But we'll just go into it. This weekend's gig was like magical, and it's actually this gig changed my perspective on something so much that, like, we're gonna actually dig into it as the like primary topic.
I'm very excited.
So yeah, we'll go ahead and just get into the catsup section of the episode. Kiddo had his debut at Chicago.
Right. Yes.
Crushed it.
Awesome.
So we went on Thursday, which was opening night. My parents were there, and during intermission, my dad turns to me and goes, "Are they piping any of this music in?" I was like, "No, the band's doing this," and it was phenomenal. Because I mean, Chicago is not something that you can kind of approximate.
No,
it's got to sound like it sounds.
Right.
And the horns and just the drums and the keys and stuff, like, perfect. It was awesome. So good.
That's great.
So much so that, like, I feel like I was borderline embarrassing my kid because I just would not shut up about it.
Yeah.
And I told him flat out, I was like, I've been playing professionally for like 25 years. I've never done something as challenging as what you have managed to pull off in 2 weeks' time.
Wow.
To say that I am impressed is like an understatement. And I know, like, he's my kid and he's probably just thinking, yeah, whatever. But like, I am legitimately impressed.
Yeah.
And so they've got some sort of governing body that rates these things. And I think their secret shopper person came on Saturday of this last run. And then they've got 3 more dates starting this coming Thursday. And then that's it. So I think he digs it. I think he kind of is understanding the whole community aspect of being in the theater and doing that stuff. So he says that he'd be down to try it again. So I'm chuffed, as
cool.
Very
cool.
Brits would say.
Yeah.
And then let's see, we played the show on Saturday. It was at this like private cabin community up in Dahlonega, gorgeous place. And the whole thing is that they've got these little A-frame cabins. They're basically like tiny homes, but we were doing it for one of our neighbors. And this is like their weekend getaway place that they go to. And then they told me how much they paid for it every year. And it got real interesting because you basically buy into this community and then you pay to lease the cabins, but they pay like just over $3,000 a year for access to this place.
Wow.
My entire perspective shifted. I was like, oh. And so Amber took their golf cart, did a whole like run of the facility while we were getting set up. And so this gig got really expensive because now I might be
right. Turned into a real estate transaction.
Right. And it would also require a fair amount of DIYing and renovation because, these are cabins that were built, years and years ago. And some of them have been fixed up, but most of that is the new folks coming in and fixing them up. So that would be something that would be contingent on us to do.
Yeah.
But like I said, if business picks back up, maybe it'll be an easy choice to make. Some stuff that we implemented this past gig is the both lights, which came in. If you're watching this on video, you can see it behind me. I've got 3 more of them sitting right here. They literally showed up about an hour before load-in, and they didn't come with chargers. I was a little worried about that, but batteries held up. This is still in the same charge as before. Dave from both was like, oh, my bad. Let me get some of those to you. So those are on their way. Easy to set up. They dropped right into our existing rig with the wireless DMX. We also use the Donner wireless DMX. Based on the power requirements for some of them, I did connect the wireless DMX to DMX cables to then connect to certain lighting
Yes,
deals just based on the proximity of where they were.
Right.
So kind of defeats the purpose, but also just it was a way for things to be set up more conveniently.
Yep.
And I will say this, wireless DMX is something that you do need to kind of like know just kind of how it operates, because the one thing that I did not quite understand is how to get them onto the same wireless DMX channel. But I realized that most of these wireless DMX deals have, I think, 5 channels that they operate on, and there's like a universal color code. So like the wireless channel 1 is red and 2 is green. And so all I had to do was make the colors on the Donner units match what was on these, and then they popped right on.
Yep.
So that's not in the manual. That would have been helpful. It took a little bit longer, but again, I was able to set all of this stuff up, with our existing rig. It popped right in. It looked great. And the fact that they're wireless, you can put them literally anywhere. That was actually another thing we were kind of struggling with, is like, where do we put them? And I feel like we rearranged them like 6-7 times until we found a spot that, where everybody was happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, they look killer.
Yes.
And definitely a value add. Hopefully, I'll talk with Dave and them maybe about getting a discount code or some sort of affiliate deal. So if you guys are interested in picking them up, that we can, get you a nice little price cut or something. Because I think the all-in retail on these is just over $1,000, but you get 4 of them. So $250 a light is not like, that's very reasonable.
Well, with batteries and with wireless DMX built in, like, yeah.
And they're huge. Like 4'7" without the tripod.
Right.
I had to actually take the tripod off of that one so it wouldn't hit the ceiling.
Yeah.
It is a visually like striking product.
Yeah.
So I'll put a link in the show notes so you guys can check them out. But yeah, so both lights rocked, wireless DMX rocked. Pink Strat finally made its debut.
Awesome.
Played the whole show with it. My playing may not have been up to the occasion, but the Strat sounded great.
Cool.
Yeah. Everything else worked great. Wing crushed it. I did realize that the cards that we put into it to do the multi-tracking weren't formatted correctly. If you're not doing just like the 16 gig ones that they recommend, you do have to like FAT32, the bigger ones. And I just didn't have my laptop with me. So our front of house guy said he recorded it, but I checked both of the cards and they didn't have anything on them. So unless he put another, at least connect to his laptop or what. But either way, we're making progress. MK, the keys player, was on this one and crushed it. And I now have like 4 people who want to sing. And so it's like, we probably now need to like set up some vocal rehearsals and, work through our stacks and all of that stuff, which is fun for me. I love that.
Oh, choir.
I just love the idea of like neighbors like sitting and like just harmonizing, just like harmonizing with your friends.
That's the best.
That's high school chorus all over again. Like I'm totally game for that.
Yeah.
So, if things are kind of getting quiet for a little bit, maybe that's how we'll fill our time. There's definitely some system stuff we need to tighten up. So yeah. And actually Mike Schulte made a really good recommendation. He says that every spring they rent a room, they set everything up, they go through all of their gear kind of upgrades. Like they basically like set time aside to, if they're going to implement new stuff, like set it up for a day, no stakes or anything, just like work through whatever kinks there might be and get it right. And then go out for a nice dinner after that and spend that time scheming and dreaming. That's a very cool idea. And if I had any margin in the corporate account, which I currently don't, thanks to Uncle Sam. But yeah, something I will definitely be implementing into the future. And that's pretty much it as far as catching up goes. No review this week, but there were a couple of housekeeping things I would be remiss to not mention. This week we hit 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is amazing. And along with that, I did our monthly stats and like tagged it on to the annual deal. And as of this month, we have hit 1.3 million total listens, downloads, watches between like all of our things. And
amazing.
A million.
Million.
Like that's 1,000 thousands.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times you guys or my mom have been watching these videos and listening to these episodes, but dadgummit, we appreciate the hell out of y'all.
Yeah. Incredible.
We've literally built a community from the ground up.
Yeah.
Nothing like this existed. It now exists because we decided that we were just not going to stop until it
That's right.
did.
We decided we were going to do this every week, and by God,
here we are.
Every week, yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Okay. I hopped on the call this evening, and I was like, Dan, I've got a hot take, and I kind of want to surprise you with it, but I'm afraid if I don't tell you what it is, that you won't have enough time to react, and you know, we won't be able to get into it the way that I feel like we should. And this is, I'm going to bleep this, of course, because, you know, this is we're respectable folks and whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and throw something out there, and I'm going to say, fuck the tablet on stage. Like, don't do it.
Wow.
And this is antithetical to pretty much everything that we've discussed up to this point.
It is.
And I think that the argument that most people have is coming at it from the wrong perspective.
Okay.
Because every time you get into an online discussion about it or whatever, it's people in the audience, and by people, I mean us, other musicians, going, it doesn't look professional or whatever. It's something where like, it's just dickhead musicians judging you for whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's the right way to look at it, because as long as I can remember, there has been some sort of device on stage that I was using to control something, whether it was track playback or chord charts or lyrics or my in-ear mix. A tablet on stage has just been a thing that's there. And with my, you know, on stage setup, like I literally have a stand where it goes. It's like a part of that rig.
Right.
And as much as I like having control of things and having stuff at my fingertips, I've also mentioned that like, it feels like I'm kind of like behind a bunch of stuff. Like I'm in like this kind of like battle station.
Right.
And the separation can be a bit, I mean, you notice it. You just kind of, you kind of feel like you're behind some stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes you break loose and step around it and whatever, and then home base is back behind it. I certainly have that experience.
And so at this past gig, because of the way that things were set up, there was a tablet on stage, but for the first time in a long time, it wasn't in front of me.
Mm.
It was kind of there as a buffer. Like we had it up to do like mix adjustments during sound check, and lyrics were up on it. But this was the first gig that I've done. I'm kind of upset to even like try and remember how long it's been since I've been off book, but it's been a long time where I had to just pull stuff from my memory and just do it. And I'll be damned if I didn't enjoy the show like exponentially more because I just felt more connected.
Right.
There's been so many times where one of the guys or Amber was like, oh my gosh, did you see the da-da-da-da-da? And I'm like, wait, what? And it's just kind of like the running joke with Amber that's just like, you're not there at the show. And it's like, to be fair, I've got more, you know, I'm looking at my guitar and I'm doing all these other things. And so I definitely just kind of like, sometimes you go into autopilot or you're focusing on other stuff and you just kind of miss what's happening.
Yeah.
You feel like the show happens around you and you're just kind of along for the ride. But this gig, I felt just less tethered and more connected.
Yeah.
It also was a situation where I was fully wireless for the first time in a while.
Right.
So wireless mic and, you know, in-ears and guitar and stuff. And I was just able to like just move around a lot more and I really enjoyed it. And I was able to like interact with everybody on stage a lot more and interact with the crowd a lot more. And I was just like, I kind of feel like I've been depriving myself of this level of enjoyment that I 100% took for granted.
Yeah, that's good. You know, I had the opposite experience when I went to being a power trio, you know, where I'm the only guitar, I'm the only singer, or maybe one of two, depending on personnel, but I was much less able to take a solo and run around the room while, you know, playing guitar in people's faces, totally unable to pull my mic off the stand wireless and go engage, right? Like I felt very much more locked down, and I definitely did have that experience of missing out on the kind of freedom that I had when I was totally free roaming, when I had enough personnel in the band to do that. So I do get that. I totally get that.
And I 100% like this will change the way that I operate moving forward. And I think it's also important that like as musicians, we need to evolve. Like you can have an opinion about something and you can change that opinion.
Sure.
And I don't necessarily besmirch people who want to have tablets on stage. I understand that like there's a reason for having them. I just came to the realization that not having one on stage allowed me more freedom to be present. And being present is something that I struggle with in general. And it just like, it made everything better.
Yeah.
And I think that's worth considering. And a lot of that can be just fear of like, well, I don't want to have a brain fart or, flub the lyrics. Like that's kind of small potatoes when you like in the grand scheme of things. Like,
yeah,
I think it's a worthy risk to feel like you are participating in your performance and maybe flub a guitar part or flub a lyric here and there. I don't think I have sung Just Like Heaven by The Cure without lyrics since like ever, like 0 times.
Yeah.
I think I've done it. I think I've done it without having the lyrics in front of me. And guess what? I was able to sing it without the lyrics. It was totally fine. It apparently had been in there all along, which, I think we kind of trick ourselves. And listen, you can go onto the YouTube channel and you can literally watch a video of me going, do not bring lyrics on stage. It will become a crutch and you will never memorize it. And then I completely ignore my own advice and do exactly that for literally 3 years.
Right.
So, chalk it up to whatever, but I can say that with certainty that I was wrong on this one.
Okay.
Not going to judge you. I'm not going to say I'll never have an iPad in front of me on stage ever again. But if I can help it, I'll leave it. I'll leave it home or put it somewhere else because I had so much fun this weekend and I liked it. And so let's see what going out there without a net feels like for a little bit.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I love throwing yourself a new challenge, that's worthy of the work it's going to take to get it implemented. May not take any work. Maybe all that stuff's in your muscle memory and you don't even know it. Muscle
memory is an interesting way to put that because there were definitely some stuff that I clammed that I don't like. I have no explanation for. Like not even like you don't have a chart or whatever. I totally forgot the little turnaround part of Let's Go Crazy that it's literally one of like my favorite parts. And just like for whatever reason, it just wasn't there. That's not a song that we normally have anything on anyway. I just, for whatever reason, just...
Well, the point is there's stuff that you've been relying on memory prompt for that you're going to try and quit relying on it for.
Yep.
And that will probably take some work. It'll probably take some trial and error. But if the trade-off is that you're enjoying the show more and therefore undoubtedly the performance is coming across stronger, well, that sounds great.
So if me saying that kind of bristles you a little bit or you kind of feel a way about it, I'm going to push back and challenge you to kind of think through it. What is it about that particular device or tool that you feel like you can't operate without? Is it just the fear of not being 100% accurate? Is it the fear of something else? Is it like, what is that thing? And what are you potentially depriving yourself of by utilizing something like that?
Yeah. I mean, I think, in my case, my situation's different. I don't have a dedicated sound person. I'm running sound from the stage. I don't have, because of that, I don't have playback controls elsewhere than me. All of that's happening off of my tablet too. And therefore, as a result, my lighting cues are all happening off of my tablet too. So I got a lot of things coming off of that device that are real time.
Right.
I'm automating them to the best of my ability, but at some point I got to have a button to hit play.
Right.
And in my current phase of things, I got to hit play once per song. So it's not like I can run off stage and do that in the wings and then come back.
Right.
So I could find a way, I'm sure, to automate that. People have done it, put it on a foot switch or something.
Yep.
I've done a lot of work to get out in the crowd beyond the barrier that the tablet would be.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot of work to be, engaged and present and looking up, and only glancing down. We're headed into that bridge that I never quite remember the first couple chords of or something. However, I am also now driving mirrored screens for other band members. So I'm tapping forward through songs with my feet.
Yep.
And that's tapping them forward on their screens too. Now, the case could be made that however good I am at not being crutched by the crutch of it, which the argument could be made, I'm kidding myself.
Right.
Am I enabling crutchiness among the rest of my band? Which, maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say there's no one right way for everyone. But, I get the appeal of going raw.
Well, and would you agree that if you didn't have to manage all of those things yourself, that you would be able to be engaged in the show in a way that would be more enjoyable and less stressful for you?
Oh, if I could, listen, just in terms of delegating that stuff, offloading that task set for me, 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If I had somebody who could do all that for me, yeah, for sure. That wouldn't be about having a tablet or not. That would be about not having to, the mental load of all that stuff is just a lot while I'm also trying to perform.
Right.
But would that then free me up to say, all right, I know these songs. I can step away from that and not have it between me and my audience. Yeah, that's appealing for sure.
So yeah, there wasn't really anything else to it than that. It was just, I had this experience. I really enjoyed it. I realized that something that I was probably leaning on more than I should have was keeping me from actually like being there.
Yeah.
And doing something different and kind of shocking myself out of that system was like super beneficial.
Right.
And will 100% change the way that I do stuff. Because the other thing that I realize is that as much as we think that like, oh, I might need to adjust my levels or like, I don't do that.
Right.
I really don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
After the first or second song, like that's it.
Yeah. It is a safety blanket, in case something starts feeding back or something, to have that there. But the reality is during the show, someone might come up to me with feedback at the break, can't hear the fiddle or whatever. And then I might make a tweak or I might not. But yeah, I'm not riding the faders live while I play by any means.
Right. That's pretty much it.
Okay. All right.
If this is something that like you've considered, or even something you've not considered, maybe consider it. But in conclusion, fuck iPads on stage. Just forget it.
Fair enough.
And if you have the means to what's the word that I want to use? It's like, I want to say excoriate, but I know that's probably not the right word or the way to pronounce it. Eliminate it. Eliminate it. I'm fine. If you can manage it, try a show or two without it. See how you feel. If you think that it made you better, let us know about it. Coverbandconfidential@gmail.com. If you think that I'm an idiot, same email address, weirdly, same one.
Yeah.
You just let us know. And that's it.
Okay.
Like this gig, I don't know. It was the most fun that I've had performing in a really long time. It helped that the vibes were good and everybody was like in a good mood and the food was good and we were treated well and like just lots of positivity, but just adding this one tweak to the whole thing, like just elevated it that much more. So I just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, it's great.
We had all the, like literally there's like 5 other topics that we could have really gotten into and they would have been like really just SEO optimized
we'll
for the
save
algorithm.
We'll save them. Yeah, it'll be perfect for next time.
It'll just give us more time to compile and,
right,
make it just exactly what Al Gore's rhythm is looking for.
Right.
Any other parting words?
No.
Listen, this time next week, you could be on your feet, man.
I could be.
You could be scheduling and planning your triumphant return.
By this time next week, so we're recording this on Monday, by this time next week, I will have had my first physical
PT.
therapy appointment.
So yeah, you may actually be like, hey,
I might be whipped. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll actually do it on Sunday like we say we're going to do.
Yeah, it'd probably be smart.
My work has just been kind of rough, and every time I push it to like Monday or Tuesday, I'm like, I am going to regret this.
Yeah.
Because I feel like last week I think I uploaded everything like 2 hours before it was supposed to drop, and that's just too close for comfort.
Yeah, it's too close. Yeah.
So this week, hopefully it'll be smoother.
Cool.
Episode's a little shorter, you know. We'll just get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the recording might be a little tighter than usual too. So
listen, when you're on, you're on.
there you go.
And we're on right now. What else can I say?
Perfect.
Folks, thanks so much for tuning in. Couldn't do this without you. 1.3 million total everythings. In your eyeballs, in your earballs, we are everywhere. We appreciate you guys just hanging in there and coming along for the ride with us. And if you want us to talk about something, you can always reach out. We've got a bunch of stuff in the chute ready to go, but we're always open to new ideas. So hit us up. Get into the Facebook group. If you aren't in the Patreon, join the Patreon. I feel like this is one of the few episodes we haven't like really been talking about. Hey, this thing in the Slack happened. Not that there's plenty of stuff happening in the Slack channel. Just there was other stuff going on. So, you know, if you want to get involved, get involved. There's plenty of ways to do it. And if you want to support the show any other way, you can do what Jeff's about to say. But I'll go and call it for this week. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, Dan Ray.
You've been listening to the Coverbandconfidential podcast for the week of March 14th, 2025.